for delivery, but you just email us at services and we can have whatever you need delivered. So at the moment we have all types of comfort seating, as Paula said, electric wheelchairs, manual wheelchairs. We also have beds. We're no longer doing single beds, as the HSE provides single beds, and we just can't stay on top of the amount of equipment that we have. But we do supply 4-foot beds, which are a large single. We have foam mattresses, high superior, not a huge selection of types. We have kind of the one type, usually a Healthcare 21 superior mattress. We also have air mattresses and hybrid mattresses. So if you email services, all we need is the client's name, which we're covered under GDPR for you to give us. We will have them on file. They have to be registered with us, and then we can add whatever equipment you need onto their profile. Deliveries take anything from 7 to 10 days. Rarely, but sometimes they'll get the equipment out quicker. But we often get asked the question, how long will it take? Once we've booked it with Healthcare 21, it actually kind of goes out of our hands. So in order for us not to have to keep emailing Healthcare 21, just allows 7 to 10 days. Healthcare 21 will always let the family know a day before or 2 days before when they're going to deliver something. We do double beds, and double beds require 2 drivers. So if somebody needs something urgently, unfortunately, we don't have an urgent agreement with Healthcare 21. If we were to order something urgently, they'd charge us a fortune to have it done. So if you need double beds, things like that, things that take a little bit longer and require 2 drivers, just let us know in plenty of time. When our clients pass away also, the collections, again, we don't have an urgent agreement with Healthcare 21. They will endeavour to do it as quickly as possible, but again, it can take up to sort of 5 to 7 days for collections, just to let you know. Healthcare 21 do all our collections, and then they decontaminate everything that has been collected. So sometimes people will say, well, so-and-so had a chair, can I have that delivered back out to somebody else? It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. It won't be listed again on Asset Track for about 3 weeks. It takes approximately 20 to 25 days to clean something, to decontaminate it, depending on what it is. So just have patience with us. Anything on Asset Track that's there is there for delivery. So you can just email us and choose what you need. We have an awful lot of equipment. So at the moment, we're not buying any new equipment unless it's a very special case. We have plenty of riser recliners, comfort seating. We have plenty of wheelchairs. We've only just ordered in new beds, but as you can imagine, with 470 odd clients, a lot of our equipment is out on loan. So we would ask that people really to go to HSE first. We're a backup for the HSE. We're not there to replace them. So we're trying to do equipment that the HSE perhaps doesn't do, like stair lifts, things like that. We'll talk about that a bit more later on. Paula's going to talk to you now about voice banking and Speak Unique.
Thanks for that, Lisa. As I say, we can do lots of questions later if you guys all have questions. So just make note of what you need to ask. So Speak Unique. This is possibly where I'm not a speech and language therapist. So hats off to all the speech and language therapists out there. So Speak Unique, now we have an agreement with Speak Unique, also including I Will Always Be Me, the book. So if any of your clients wish to avail of this, we will fund it. It's actually really, really simple. The client goes on to Speak Unique, they open an account. It'll be great if the SLT can just kind of give me a heads up that they're doing so. And then we will pay for it. So they go onto the Speak Unique platform and apply for funding with the IMNDA, not to be mistaken with MND, the UK, because we're kind of on the screen, we're kind of look close to each other. So Speak Unique is life transforming for a lot of our clients. They're able to communicate then. The Speak Unique app is downloaded on the iPad. As far as I know, they can also download it on their phone, which means once the voice has been, created, they can use it anywhere. So Speak Unique is very, very popular. I might just call on Ciara Harmony, who's here from Beaumont. Quick question, if it's okay, Ciara.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Over the last couple of years, months, people would request a voice recorder for voice banking. Would I be right in saying that people who are applying for Speak Unique don't need a voice recorder? They only need the PC and the headphones. What would the advantage of a voice recorder be for using Speak Unique, or would it just be for voice, some other form of voice banking?
So Speak Unique is for voice banking, where you record your voice, and it's more it'll be used with like high-tech AAC, and it will always be a little bit automated. So someone usually like types the message, they hit play, and the voice that's produced, it will sound like them. It won't sound 100% like them. It'll always sound a little bit computery and like robotic, but it will sound like them. But the intonation and computers are not perfect. Like it might say read instead of read, you know, so it's not 100%
Okay.
when it's being recorded. But message banking then is when they're borrowing the Zoom recorders, and that's where they can record their voices. It is exactly how they say it. So for example, you know, my name is Ciara. So if someone close to me was doing it, they might say Ciara, but they might also record it Ciara, you know, if they're angry at me. No one would ever be angry at me though. But
No.
you can do it for different you know, for capturing different voices. You can record your laugh, particularly for people with very young children or with grandchildren. They might want to record singing happy birthday with each one of the important peoples in their lives voice. So that would all be done on the message banking, done with the Zoom recorder. Generally is the one that you loan out. So I would always talk. Speak Unique is much easier to do. It's literally a couple hours, you know, with the headset. But I would always talk about message banking because you're capturing the person exactly as they sound. Some people have funny jokes or funny stories, or you know, even just saying like thanks a million, like, you know, just it sounds exactly like them, which isn't always captured with Speak Unique. But yeah, so they're two kind of different things. But did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's perfect. It's like I said earlier, it's from like I've been with the company for it's nearly 6 years now, and I'm learning all the time. So I'm always afraid to give the wrong information. So I really rely on the OTs and the SLTs and the physios and the public health nurses to give me the information of what they need. So that's really, really good to know. Okay, so I think Lisa did talk about beds and mattresses, so we can probably move on from that. Just bear with me 1 second now, sorry. Bear with me 1 second, sorry. I think we're having a little tech issue. We'll be fine. Yeah. We have something that won't close down. Bear with us 1 second. What can anybody see on the screen? Maybe all the way back.
Okay, so next one then, beds and mattresses.
So just going back to beds, sorry, can Jarvla, can you see what's on the screen?
Bed and mattresses are on the screen.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
Beds and
Perfect.
mattresses, yeah.
Sorry about that, everybody, with
Okay.
slight tech issue. I think Lisa might have mentioned it, but for a double bed, we need 2 drivers. Well, we don't need Healthcare 21 need 2 drivers, because the beds don't actually come apart. They're carried up the stairs. Sometimes as well, over the last year or so, when we deliver a bed, the client says, no, I don't want it. So if possible, everybody who's requesting a bed, just double make sure with the client that they are ready to accept it, and to make sure that the house is big enough to allow for the beds to be some of the terraced housing, they're very, very small, and it's really hard to get that bed upstairs. Obviously, we don't want to move people from upstairs to downstairs if they're not happy, but that's something I don't need to tell you what to, you guys know yourself how that works. But yeah, also again, if you're requesting a double bed, I know that none of us have a crystal ball and we don't know how far in advance we need them, but the sooner we get a request in, like kind of, you know, the expression I suppose would be think ahead. The sooner we get a request in, the sooner we can get the equipment out to you. So really appreciate that. We're now on to CRC and assistive technology. Obviously, it's not just CRC. We deal with CRC, we deal with Enable Ireland, we deal with a fabulous guy from Donegal called Mark Gallagher. There's a lot of really good multidisciplinary teams out there for assistive technology. As you can imagine, this is moving at a rate that we just can't keep up with. We have the GridPad 12, now with the 13, then there's the 15, there's the 18 Pro. So I need as much help as possible. If you're trying to order something like this, obviously the OTs and the SLTs would tell me what they need as opposed to me. So if I'm buying something, it would come in from a quote. And then I would know what to do. But as I say, it can be very, very complicated. So I'm just trying to keep on top of what's coming in. I'm hoping over the next couple of months actually to do some sort of an educational, maybe with Enable Ireland or with CRC, just to keep me in the loop. That would be fantastic. Hope I'm not going too fast. If I'm going too fast, just shout. So we're on to mobility, powered and manual. I think at the moment we have around 35 wheelchairs in stock. So we would base our wheelchairs would be basically manual, transit, and powered wheelchairs. So unfortunately, we are trying to move this stock before we buy anything new. So just kind of be aware of that. We would really appreciate your kind of help on this. You know, sending in new quotes. It's not going to happen at the moment. But all our wheelchairs, they're pretty new and they're all very good quality. We have a few quickie salsas, a few Infocare. So we do have some very good wheelchairs in stock. Yeah. Yeah. We if you want to be added to Asset Track again, email services. I think at this stage we have over 200 healthcare professionals on Asset Track. It just means you can go onto Asset Track, have a look. And, you know, because a wheelchair to myself or Lisa or Slajna is a wheelchair, whereas you are qualified to know which wheelchair will suit the client. If it's okay now, I'm going to pass over to Orla Foster. So Orla Foster is one of our new OTs in Beaumont. Absolutely thrilled to have her on board. So Orla, I'll pass over to you if that's okay.
Thank you. Thanks very much. And thanks for inviting me to speak today.
No problem.
I just really wanted to introduce myself. Some people I might have met over my time, just in general as an OT, and then other people I won't have met. But I'm very new to Beaumont. I just started at the end of March, but I have got experience with working with people with IMNDA. I worked with people for 6 years in Australia in a statewide service. So I guess some similarities to the Beaumont service in Wales. And I'm very much new to the processes though with IMNDA in Ireland, and I'm learning about, you know, what equipment's available and what pathways to take. So it's definitely a learning curve for me at the moment. But I'm really passionate about advocating for IMNDA patients and making sure that they get the services they need on time. And I think the role for me in Beaumont, I see very much as key to that. And I am trying to figure out what's the best way to streamline the role so that the patients get the most effective time with being in the clinic, but also that it's efficient for both the patients and the therapist. So I'm hoping over time to develop, you know, clear communication with people, and people feel that they can contact me as well, so that we all know what page we're on with the patient, and then when they come in, they can address specific things in the clinic. And I know this works quite well with the I've made links with some of the hospices, and they've been emailing me to say that the patient's coming, and then I know what they've been dealing with symptom management and things like that, and then I can just focus on things like, you know, a head collar or talking about assistive technology, or if it's a splint that they need. So it's very much a work in progress as to how the role will look, but that's what I'm working on at the moment. So I'm happy to take phone calls from people, and I am trying my best to make contact with as many OTs as possible. Once a patient has been into the clinic, I'm reaching out to the therapist as soon as I can after that clinic visit. So that, yeah, so that's about the communication. Yeah, so one of the things, I mean, it's a massive, massive thing, but I would love to see improvements with the council's understanding about the need for grants and more timely for MND patients. And I think it's something that we all need to advocate about, because we assume that they know these things, but we need to kind of talk about it all the time and say, what's happening, can we put this funding in, what's the need, why is the need? We need to be saying that all the time to make a change with that, and it needs to come from every single one of us. And I know that certainly, and I know it's a very different system in Australia, but that was certainly something that I worked really, really hard with when I was over there. And I kept on saying to them, to the council people, like, this is different, MND patients are different, we need to consider this much, much sooner. So I feel like instead of just accepting the status quo, that we need to maybe push against it when we can, because there's people that are really in desperate need for the grant and for the funding towards the home modifications that they need. And with that, it comes a lot of hard conversations. So, from being out in people's homes, sometimes they're not ready for the changes that they need to have. But I feel like if we have a very good way of communicating with them about the need for it, and why to consider the changes sooner rather than later, it can be quite effective. Now, every person is different in how they receive that information, but I think that we have, I think it's, and I often say that to patients as well, it's just our responsibility to tell them of what's available and what's the likelihood of what they'll need, and what comes with that. And oftentimes, when people leave it so long, the stress is so great because they're coming through another functional change, and at that point it's 100 times worse for them to think about doing a massive home modification, because as we know, even if we're doing our own renovations and in our own home and we don't have any illness, it's really stressful. So imagine that tenfold for a person who's going through all of these changes at the same time and being quite unwell. So I just also wanted to say that we all have the skills to work with MND patients. Sometimes it can be a fearful thing for people when they get an MND patient, but as OTs, we definitely all have the skills. It's just trying to stay ahead of the changes, and that's the hardest bit, and having the conversations that need to happen early on, so that we can then help them with the changes and do it in a really timely manner. And obviously that's easier said than done, but I think the better communication we have between ourselves and Beaumont, community therapists, the patient, always the patient at the forefront, I think that can be more effective, and staying on top of those changes as they happen, and before they happen, really. And the other thing, because I've got a group of people all in one place, I was at the CRC last week and speaking to them about assistive tech and how that works, between wheelchairs and combining them with their communication devices and things like that, and how they'll drive them. And one thing that the OT there really stressed to me was that it needs to be an ORNet driver system for wheelchairs. And maybe people know that already, but certainly not something that I knew about. And she said if there was one message to get across to OTs in Ireland, it's that when considering a wheelchair for an MND patient, it must be an ORNet driver system and not a V or E. I think it was I've written down actually. So just because if I suppose we're always thinking ahead of time, so we want to think about adaptability and what can work for the lifespan of that person's disease. And if at all possible, we're trying to think what can be adapted, what can be, so that the person doesn't have to change their wheelchair and their device all the time. So it's just something really, really key to consider. The system that is not VR2, that's the one. VR2 is don't go for VR2. It's ORNet driver system. And just, yeah, with the CRC referrals, like I'm trying to do them as early as possible. So when I see patients in clinic now, I'm asking them, you know, are they into tech? Are they interested in tech? What do they do with their technology? You know, is it a really key role for them? I know we're all using technology today, and there's a high chance people all want to be linked into it, but it's good to get that information. You know, what did they work as before? What kind of level are they at? Are they keen to see things early on? Like some people just want to see it and then they can make choices themselves later on. So it's really important just to have those conversations as early as you possibly can, because the earlier that we get people referred to the CRC, if they're agreeable, the sooner those kind of plans can be made for the future. So I can't stress that enough in relation to that. So they're just the things that I've been thinking of over the last couple of months since I started the role. But I really I'm very new, so I'm really trying to figure out other things that are important. But I'm very happy to take a phone call or email from anyone at any time, because it's really useful for me to actually engage with as many OTs as possible. Thank you.
Orla, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. I think you've just really kind of hit the nail on the head there. Like, you know, we have the Beaumont team, the CRC team, the IMNDA team, the healthcare. We're all a team at the end of the day. You know, even though we work in separate buildings, we have different departments, I think we would all agree we are here at the end of the day to really, really try and look after our client. CRC works so hard to get things done really quickly. I know, you know, it takes a long time. Again, if you think even an early conversation with the client, you know, if you think that they would agree to CRC, the sooner we can get them onto that waiting list, the better for assessments. Because sometimes in the beginning of a diagnosis, a client isn't really ready, and that's fair enough. But if you think they might down the line, just get their name onto the waiting list. Because by the time they arrange an assessment that needs a whole team together to go out and visit a particular client, then they have to go and find out what the client would need. Then they come back to me or the HSE to see if we have the stock. So it's not just as easy as, you know, ordering a chair. It's so complex and complicated. So just kind of remember that, everybody, that from a CRC point of view, Enable Ireland, that we're all trying to do the same thing, which is get these people sorted as quickly as possible. Orla, that was a great presentation. I really appreciate it. And as Orla said, if you know, once we all get together and kind of know what we're doing, we'll be able to help clients, you know, much quicker, which is obviously what we're hoping to do. I'm just trying to see if I had mentioned there. Bear with me. I'm going to go to the next slide. I'm going to go back. Yes, sorry. My colleague Lisa is just going to talk very quickly about stair lifts. So I'll just pass her on to everybody here. Thank you.
We do provide stair lifts. We provide straight, either left-hand side or right-hand side. What we're doing is, if somebody requires a stair lift, I get onto our guy Brendan in Delta Mobility, and he's brilliant. He'll go out and assess the house and make sure that he thinks the stair lift is suitable. Unfortunately, we had started purchasing a few curved stair lifts over the last couple of years, but we had a meeting there a while ago, and financially it's just not viable because they can't be reused, whereas a straight stair lift can be reused. So they're the ones that we're providing at the moment. We don't provide floor through ceiling lifts, unfortunately, again, kind of cost prohibitive, and they can't be reused in people's homes. So if anybody is, or you think anybody may need a stair lift, if there's no facility to move downstairs, just email services again, and I'll send on the referral for whoever the client is. All our stair lifts that we put into people's houses are on a loan basis, and we do take them back out when the person either no longer uses them or has passed away, unfortunately. So that's stair lifts. We do provide them. Thanks a million.
Thanks for that, Lisa. I hope you don't think we're jumping all over the place. I think probably we just had a few things to clear up there on the communication aids. So you'll see there that we provide iPads for loan. On the iPads, we have two apps, Predictable and Speak Unique. We used to at one stage provide Grid for iPad. We no longer provide it as the new system is very complicated and quite costly. So at the moment we're not doing that, but I think with both Predictable and Speak Unique, it should be sufficient for our clients. We mentioned earlier that we do Speak Unique. So the iPads, just as I know it sounds unusual, but over the last couple of years, so we buy a lot of iPads at €500 a shot, including the case. So sometimes an SLT will request an iPad to go directly to the client. We're asking not to do that anymore. We need to send the iPad to the speech and language therapist. What's been happening is, unfortunately, clients are ringing us from the house and saying, oh, I don't know how to use it. And then it causes a little bit of stress. So we will be sending the iPads to the SLT. Hopefully, you guys can then show your client how to use the iPad. We are asking as well, which is we're kind of strict on this, because a lot of our iPads have come back in and they're locked and they're brand new. We can't reuse them. We can't even unlock them through Apple because of GDPR. So these iPads worth €500 are being scrapped. It's heartbreaking. So it's really important that you ask, or that you can set up an Apple ID for your client. It can be their own, if they're downloading another app on the iPad, that's fine. We don't expect them just to use Predictable. They can download Netflix, they can download whatever they like, but make sure that you take the client's details, password, login, and then keep the details and send them to us, preferably within a few days of receiving the iPad. It just means then that we have a much better chance of reusing all our equipment, which is the idea at the end of the day. We also provide voice recorders, voice amplifiers. Down there, I've just mentioned call bells. We do call bells. Obviously, this is very handy for people at home. We provide task alarms. Task alarms for people under 65. If they're over 65, please apply to the HSE. If you can imagine, every item that the HSE provides, if we provide it to, we're spending our money in the wrong place. From a charity point of view, we have a very strict budget. So we're just trying to be able to help the people in the right areas. So we don't provide PCs, unfortunately, but we will, of course, provide headsets if people need a headset to do their voice banking. So I'm going to go on to the next one now, which is has to be addressed. It's the motor meds for all your physiotherapists out there. So at the moment, there's a huge waiting list. I'll talk about that in a moment. So we have 28 motor meds. Last year, we invested in about 10 of them. You can imagine cost. I think it was 30,000, 35,000. At the moment, we have a waiting list of about 20. So again, you can, if possible, everybody, ourselves and Lincare work together. There's a lovely girl in Lincare called Orla, and she's phenomenal at her job. And we try to make sure that that a client gets a moped, especially if they've never had one before. We do have a lot of clients who would request again. That's fine. But firstly, it has to be a client who has never had one. So if possible, please apply through your local community. Because your client might be eligible for a unit. There's a lot of relocation schemes around the country, so there could be one in your particular area. At the moment, we are providing the motor meds for 6 months. I think this gives a client plenty of time to be able to get their muscles going and working. It will be reviewed in 6 months' time with Lincare, and then if the client wants it back, we can talk about that at a later stage. So bear with us on the motor med situation. We are really trying to get this list moving. We do have 1 or 2 clients that are still using the motor meds for 2 years, and we just don't want to take them back if they're using them. So, it wouldn't be a bad idea if you're in somebody's house and there's a towel hanging over the motor med and there's dust on it. Let us know. Because this waiting list, we feel so bad for these people. There's very little we can do. We just are not in a position at this stage to buy another 10. We just don't have that kind of financial support. So bear with us on the motor med. I know that it can be very, very frustrating, but we are really trying to get this list moving. I think we're we're more or less finished there. I'm kind of aware that we have about 20 minutes left, and I really want to get chatting on questions and answers. So what I might do is go up into the chat. I might just follow these two quickly. Somebody had their Orla's number up is up there, by the way, if you're needing any information. Is that okay for me to give out, Orla, that phone number?
Yeah, I'm happy for my details to be shared because it's easy. I've got this mobile. I do a bit of working from home, so I don't have an extension in Beaumont. So
Sure.
yeah, I'm happy for the mobile to be shared. Yeah.
Perfect. We can add that at the end of the of the details. So I'm just going to go back to somebody there had asked me about ramps. We didn't mention ramps. So yes, we do provide ramps. Very, very small stock at the moment. Our ramps would be preferably foldable, wouldn't they, Lisa? Yeah, have to be able to reuse them. You know, we're keep reiterating the same expression, but we need to be able to reuse this equipment. So be it a wheelchair, a ramp, an iPad, it goes out, it comes back, and it gets reused. You know, obviously, this makes a huge difference for our clients. So the ramps, we do. But we only do foldable ramps and portable ramps. Unfortunately, if a client needs a ramp that's cement, it has to go through the community, and it needs to go through the county council. I couldn't think of the word. It needs to go through the county council. So yeah, we do provide ramps. I'll just have a quick look here at some of the questions. Outdoor stair lifts for apartment buildings. We don't. I'm so sorry. We did try about a year ago, and we just came up against a wall time after time. We had a lovely girl living in Kildare, and we tried to get a lift outside. Oh, it didn't work. It just didn't work. So unfortunately, we don't. I know it's terrible because people are living in apartment buildings now. That's the way things are. It just didn't work. We had to try, and also, if there's a centimeter off, it throws the whole stair lift into it can also be quite dangerous. It is, yeah, really due to public indemnity. So I suppose the question there is stair lifts only for houses. And again, so sorry about that. Coming up here, Una, how are you? Is it possible just to predictable app and not one preloaded? Is it possible the predictable, not one preloaded on the iPad? Yeah, I'm actually confused on that. Una, I'm confused on that question. You might, are you able to unmute yourself there?
I think she might be asking to, like, if they have their own iPad, can you just fund the predictable app?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Instead of providing
absolutely. The iPad. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Una. I'm trying to look at the question.
Una, that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
Unique is free to download.
Yeah. We can do it, but we can do it with Speak Unique, but we're not predictable. Sorry, because Speak Unique is free to download, and then we pay for the voice. Predictable, we have a license with Predictable, so no, it has to be our iPad. Sorry, yeah. So that's your answer to that. Sorry. If the council owns the house and the client requires a stair lift, yeah, no, we don't liaise with the council. I'm so sorry, Dwight. It has to be completely us or completely the council. So normally, if the council owned the house, they would actually provide the stair lift. Aoife has just said hi. Aoife, come back to us with a question if you have it. Jacinta, is there a specific referral form? Yes, there is. If you email, I think it's support@CRC, they will send you a referral form that has all the information. You fill in the form and send it back to CRC. So yeah, that form does exist, and I think it might even be on the CRC website. But yeah, there is definitely a form. Aoife, can you let me know if Healthcare 21, beg your pardon, equipment is specifically marked as belonging to the IMNDA? Okay, I think that's a very, very good question, Aoife. So yes, over the last couple of years, it may not have been, because in order to get the equipment to the client quickly, let's say we were buying a chair, we were ordering the chair, having it delivered immediately to Paddy. So there was nothing on it. What was happening is the chair was going missing, or Fannon's might have taken it, etc. So now what we're doing now is we are ordering the chair. It's going to Healthcare 21 first to be tagged, barcoded, serial numbered, and asset number, and then it goes out to the client. It might take an extra week, but it's worth it because these pieces of equipment obviously are very expensive. So there might be something out there. Actually, if any of the OTs or SLTs see a piece of equipment that you think might be an IMNDA piece, but doesn't have a sticker on it, a serial number might suffice, or even a Healthcare 21 barcode, because I'll be able to find out with the Healthcare 21 barcode if it's ours or not. So yeah, very, very good question. Marion, hi, razor lifts. At the moment we have 6. They're all out on loan. Marion, I think I'm holding one for you for your client because I remember the name for some reason. So having 6 out on loan, and then a question like how long? Again, it's like how long will a client use it? The razor lift, it could be a year, it could be 6 months. It just all depends on the progression of the disease with the MND client. You know, we'd love to go out and buy 20 of everything. Who knows? You know, who knows who's going to go out and, you know, help fundraising this year to get more funds in. But yes, the razor lifter are very, very popular. So the minute one comes back in, goes into cleaning, and then so if you think somebody might need one, you could always ask. I just don't want another waiting list, you know. We've waiting lists for BioB days, we have waiting lists for beds, we've waiting lists. I'm kind of reluctant to start a waiting list for a razor lifter, but we have 6. They're all out on loan at the moment. I see somebody here, do you fund BioB days? Yes, we do. We used to use a company, a different company. They weren't great on follow-up. We do use a company called Sync Living. Again, the time wait is quite long, 4 to 6 weeks. But yes, we do fund BioB days, and they're life-changing apparently. They are recyclable. Some of them are, depending on how long the client has had them. So yes, they are recyclable, which is great. So the answer to that is yes. Again, if you think your client needs a BioB day, it won't be a situation like, you know, it'll be in next Monday. Just, you know, I suppose in regard to everything, just give us as much time as you can, because the less stress we're under, better we're able to provide for clients. So we have all these in sections in our equipment department. We have, you know, a separate BioB day, separate stair lift. So we do thoroughly go through all of these requests. There's one there, sorry, about the Beacon. 3 of us here at the Beacon. Hi to all the OTs at the Beacon. If we have a newly diagnosed patient, so we're referring to you. That's a very good question, actually. Orla, one of the girls there, is asking, do the Beacon, if you're talking about a registration, that you would need to come to us. Orla, could you help with that question? Should
yeah, I mean,
you at the Beaumont clinic? Yeah.
As far as I know, any patients that are diagnosed are coming through the clinic, but
yeah, that's
I
a very
suppose if that's not happening and you feel there's a need that they need to be seen in relation to any of the things that I've spoken about that you're not able to manage yourself, you know, potentially I'm going to hopefully have some low tech options available to show patients. I might be able to do some splinting and things like that, but if you feel like you can manage them where you are, you can always just contact me and we can talk through it, if they're not coming to the clinic already.
Yeah, sorry, we're just, thank you so much for that, Orla. We're just chatting here about Acid Track. So I might let Lisa explain Acid Track. Acid Track, we have 2, it's separate. We have Fannon's.
Yeah. So there'd be the login that you have for the HSE, which is Fannon's. Fannon's do look after deliveries and collections of all your equipment. Healthcare 21 do ours. So when you email me at services, I will add you to Acid Track. Some of you have already been, they're very specific about the email. If you've already been added under the HSE, they will add you under, say it's Lisa McNally at I. They'll put an X before the Lisa, and it means that it's your email, but it's just a different one to the HSE. But you'll receive a link, and that link means you can view all our equipment. It's not in the same place as Fannon's equipment. It's not in the same places as HSE equipment. It's a completely separate list. So everything that you can view is belonging to the IMNDA. It's a completely separate login account. The link comes through. When I add somebody, I get a notification to say the person has added and I verified the login. You'll get a link, but that link does not last. If you don't log in with that link in the time frame, it then seems to go obsolete. So if I add you to Asset Track, you need to use that login, because I can't re-add on the same email. It won't allow me do it. So if you want to be listed with Asset Track, yeah, absolutely, no problem. Send me a link or send me an email and I'll add you, but make sure that you follow the link and create your account. But the equipment is completely different to the HSE.
Thanks for that, Lisa. Regarding the equipment on Asset Track, unfortunately, you're not able to create deliveries or collections. All you need to do is come back to us and say, I've seen this wheelchair, barcode is, asset number is, and then we'll take it from there. We'll arrange delivery. Keep the questions coming. It's fantastic to be able to answer all these questions. So I have chat up here. So we just going back there to Orla Foster's details in Beaumont. Orla Foster at beaumont.ie and her phone number. And then Ciara, both amazing people in Beaumont. Beaumont are so lucky. Ciara is the speech and language therapist. So Ciara Amory at beaumont.ie and Ciara's phone number. I'm going to go back up to questions and answers. Oh, I think we don't have any more. Does anybody else have any more questions? No open questions at this time. Okay. So what I might do then, if that's the case, would kind of just say, you know, thank you so much. In the meantime, there's people waving at me there. Hi, Laura. Hi, Kathleen. If you feel as healthcare professionals that there's something new on the horizon or, you know, anything like that, just let us know. You know, if you think there's probably as well to do with assistive technology, or, you know, we learn from you all the time. So for example, a couple of years ago, we didn't know about the razor lifts until an OT came along and said, these are really useful. So I'm not kind of encouraging too much spending, but I am encouraging sharing information, because the more information we know, the better way we are to help. Another point I just wanted to mention about families. So myself and the girls here in services don't really link in with the families very often because we don't have the answers. So we had an email this morning from one of our lovely clients asking, could he have an addition to his wheelchair? So that's impossible for us because we're not educated. We didn't go to college like you all did and learned, you know, what an OT does or an SLT does. So if you think a client needs something, I know you're all up to your eyes, you're all incredibly busy, but try and just say to them, look, you know, ask me, I'm the OT, ask the SLT, ask the public health nurse, because if they come to us, we will just end up sending them on to you in any case. So that's kind of all I can think of at the moment. I think we might have another question. Hold on a second. Alice, very good question about the communication devices. At the moment, they're starting to be listed on Asset Track to view. It's not quite ready yet. I think another 2 or 3 weeks. The problem with the communication devices, especially grid pads, they're in and they're gone within 24 hours. They're in, cleaned, and gone back out again. Again, I would have quite a long list for pardon? Yeah, I would have a waiting list. So sometimes, you know, an SLT would say to me, can I have a grid pad for Paddy Smith? First, I would say, please go to the HSE Because every time we buy a grid pad with all the accessories, we're talking €15,000. In the meantime, if it comes back in from a client, it goes into decontamination, it's cleaned. Usually somebody from CRC, somebody from Enable Ireland is already on my list saying they need one. The iPads are not listed anymore on Asset Track because, again, they come in and out so fast. So basically, if you're looking for a communication aid device, just email services. That would be great. At least then I can add you onto that list. And the list would definitely be in date order. So I would, at the moment I'm working on the first week in May, for example, for a TSS equipment. So if there's, as soon as you get the email in, that name goes, on my list. So I hope that's okay. Somebody said, great job, Paul and Lisa. Thank you very much. It's always nerve-wracking, as I'm sure you can imagine. Vanessa, can you give us any information about feeding aids or positioning aids? Okay, very good question. I'm so sorry, Vanessa. We don't provide feeding aids. The feeding aids, they're just, otherwise we would have just so much equipment. So the answer on the feeding aids is no, I'm sorry. We do provide something called the Erdero sling, which is a mechanical sling for the arm. It's a bit like the razor. We only have 5 and they're all out on loan. But actual feeding aids like spoons, plates, kettles, we don't. Positioning aids, cushions, no. Again, we would supply cushions for wheelchairs or for extra cushions for maybe a riser recliner. Again, I think it was last year, we spent a lot of money on a sleep system. We can't use it again because sleep systems and positioning aids are just, they are, what's the word I'm looking for? They're bespoke. And then we can't use them. So that's €2,000 or €3,000 gone into the scrap. And then I have to answer to the accountant, my boss, and the board. So I'm so sorry, we don't.
Just to say, from a Beaumont perspective, we do have some small aids and equipment for feeding that if there's something suitable on the day that they're in clinic, I would give that out to them. And if it's something that we don't have, then I would potentially order it, because we do have a stock of some of those things. And is it the Armandero? You're talking about the arm. We have that as well in the clinic to try with patients, and then we can link in with IMNDA. But if there's any questions about that type of thing, it would be useful to link back in with me and see if it's something that we can try at the clinic, or if there's bits and pieces like that we can give. Then if I have that information in advance, it's good, and obviously I'll ask them anyway if they need that type of thing.
That's great, Orla. Thank you so much. Yeah, so basically, if there's anything that you're looking for, email us. Just email us. It's not that we don't want you to call, but by the time we take the call, take down the details, write everything down, put it into the system. We need it in writing so that we add everything to every single communication between the what we call our client patient is logged onto the client. So we need the email just to log it onto the client to say somebody asked for this, somebody asked for that. So emails, we are trying. Slajna has been with us now since last September and has helped enormously. But we're still in a way working on a backlog where we can't always answer an email within 24 hours. So give us time on that. We did mention as well about urgent requests. I'm so sorry. It's just, we try to help as much as possible. We're just not an emergency kind of situation. So the more time you have to get your request in, the better. If there's no more questions, I think we might leave it there. Sounds good.
There's just one more question there, Paula.
Yeah, perfect, of course. Oh yeah, perfect. Laura. Hi there. Can you spell the name? Yeah, it's Edero. Erdero. Yeah, my colleague's going to have a look now. It's Edero. We'll find out. Erdero. We'll come back to you on that. Ruth, hi, sorry, joined late, no problem. Was wondering, will this webinar be recorded? Yes, it will. I think we had technical issues in the beginning where it wasn't recorded, but yes, we'll send it on to you. No problem at all. And anything else you need? That's it. Yeah, the company are called Momentum Healthcare, and it's called the Ormond, AORMON EDERO. And it's very useful. I think actually it was one of the girls in Beaumont before she left, before Orla came. She really pushed for this, and it does work. It really does work. So that's no problem at all. Thank you. Okay, so all the thanks for coming in. That's wonderful. Great to catch up with everybody. Because as I said, we're all here for the same reason. So anything you need, give us a shout. We will try and get back to you. We'll try and do our best. So have a good day, everybody. Have a great weekend whenever it comes. And thank you very much, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.